or this is how the page should look now once you've created your account. And so to create a new timeline, you guys are going to go to the green words that say new timeline. You're going to call it History of Electricity, and then type in your description here. Okay, your focus date, you can choose it to be today. It doesn't really matter. You can choose it like to be in the middle of the time periods that you're looking at. But again, you have the ability, which I'll show you in a second, to scroll, to zoom in and out. So it doesn't really matter what focus date you put. Zoom level is a little more important because it lets you get a snapshot of one section of history. So for this one, we're talking a couple hundred years time. So you may want to do 100 years, but again, it doesn't really matter because you have the ability to zoom in and out, but just set it on what you feel is an appropriate zoom level. This one here, size importance. As you guys are putting in these different events that happened in the history of electricity, you do need to determine which ones you feel are relatively more important than others. So be sure that this size importance is checked. Image lane height, just leave it at 150. We can manipulate that later. Lastly, and importantly, be sure that you check public URL because you'll have to share your timeline with me and perhaps with some of your peers. So be sure that's checked and then click Save. And now you see your timeline. So because I have today's start date, like I have today as the focus date, you see today's date here. But I still have the ability to quickly look back to the 1950s or even forward to the 2070s. Maybe your focus date would have been better placed further back in time, and maybe you would have liked to have zoomed in to a different level. It's up to you guys how you want to fix that. Okay, so for example, let's say, here's your zoom bar. Let's say I want to get to something that happened in the 1800s. So I'm going to zoom out. And I'm going to go to the not the 1500s, the 1800s. And again, you could zoom in again, but I'm just going to pick this random date for now. So let's say something significant happened on June 16th, 1827. So here I'm going to click Create a New Event. And I'm going to call this Galvani's experiment, although this is probably not the correct date at all. This is just an example. I can put in the time that I want the event to show. So I could actually be zoomed into a different date. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to say June 16th, 1827, and click OK. So that's where it's going to flag this event. You can put an end date, or you can just, probably better if you guys just leave it on one date, it's fine. Now here's where you can rank the importance. So if I think in the big scheme of the events on this timeline, this one was relatively unimportant, I'm going to lower this importance bar. If I think it was really significant, then I'm going to make the importance bar closer to 100. Okay? I'm going to leave it in the middle now because I want you guys to judge for yourself how important you think each of these events are. You should only have one timeline, so this bar shouldn't matter at all. And then here, you're going to put in your description of Galvani's experiment or whatever event you're working on. Now, in addition to writing a description, this is a nice feature of this site, is you can put in an image. You could even put in links to audio and video clips that you found. So I suggest at the very least you guys do a description and an image, and if you find something good on audio or video, you could add that too, if you like. Okay, so once you've done that, then you're going to click Save. And now here is the event that I've just created. So if you click on it, it'll have a description and such there. Okay? That's it for now. So you guys make sure that you go through the list and record all of the events that you've been asked. At the end, to get your URL, you go to Sharing. This is the timeline we're looking at, and here will be the URL, and I'll tell you in what method you're going to share that with me or with your classmates at the end of the period. Okay? Have fun.